Welcome to this Python preprocessing tutorial. In this tutorial, we have two concepts that we will apply. The first one is splitting our data into a training and testing sets, because as you all know, any machine learning algorithm needs to have a training data set to train the model and make it learn from the available data that it has. And then we also need to have a testing data set, which is a subset of the overall data set, where it takes a couple of instances and it makes its prediction. And this is very useful because from there, we will be able to assess model accuracy and its overall performance. And then the second concept that we will need to implement is feature scaling. As you can see here, we have age and salary. Okay, the country is encoded. But here, some machine learning models may be heavily influenced by the salary more than the age, because the salary ranges to thousands, a value in the form of thousands, but the age is, 44, 27, 30, 38, 40, and so on. So, there is a fear that the salary variable may have a higher effect on the outcome or the prediction outcome more than the age, where it has a very small noticeable effect. This is why we perform feature scaling on columns demonstrating integer data types. Okay, and if you go to X, which is our independent data set, the question here is, do we need to feature scale our encoded columns or encoded variables? For me, I will not do so because, feature scaling makes our columns or our values range from -1 till 1. Therefore, there is no need to perform feature scaling on my encoded categorical variable. And also, if we go to the Y, which is considered to be our dependent variable, this was the value purchased. And it was yes or no, and we encoded it to 1 or 0. So for here, I will not also feature scale this, okay? Since, because of the reason that I've said before, it's already encoded, and the column here ranges, or it belongs to either 0 or 1. So it is considered to be scaled if you can notice it here. So let's get started. The first thing that we can do, as always, is to import our libraries. So here I want to be able to separate or divide my data set into the training and testing. So from sklearn.model_selection, you import train_test_split. So this is our library. And then what I need to do is to initialize my variables. So I have the x_train, I have the x_test, I have the y_train, and the y_test. So you take your imported library, and then it takes your independent dataset, it takes your dependent dataset, and it takes an input called test_size, which is, in my case, 0.2, which means that I want 20% of the overall dataset to be my testing dataset, okay? Okay, so if we run these two lines, and we go to Variable Explorer, and we go to x_train, you can find here that it indeed is divided. And if you go to the x_test, you can find here that it took 2 instances from the overall 10 instances. Okay? Perfect. Now, also, I want to be able to apply feature scaling. So if you go to the x underscore train, I want to apply the feature scaling on these two columns of indices 3 and 4. So we import our library from sklearn.preprocessing import standard scalar. I initialize my variable sc underscore x, and then afterwards I say that I want the x underscore train. Okay, so how do you target the third and the fourth indices? As always, you take all of the records and then you take the third and the fourth columns. Okay, so these are the two columns that you want to apply these changes on. And then you take your standard scalar object and then you apply fit underscore transform. And then you take again these two columns and put them here. So you're changing columns at indices 3 and 4 and applying the changes again on them. So it's a form of overwriting. Okay? Perfect. And then for the x underscore test, you also want to apply it on the x underscore test. And it's the same way. You take or you target these two column indices, and then you take the object, the standard scalar object. Instead of fit underscore transform, you just transform it because it has already been fitted on a greater data set. And then what happens is that you take this and you apply the changes on it. Now, the last thing that we have to do is to run these lines of code. And again, go to variable explorer and then go to x underscore train. You can definitely see that the third and the fourth indices have been feature scaled. Okay, great. Now, for the x underscore test also, it has been feature scaled. However, for the y test and the y train, I do not feature scale any encoded variables. So this is basically the end of this Python preprocessing tutorial, and this is our overall template of how we can tackle some cases to be able to produce our training and testing data set to be input into our machine learning model. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section, and please subscribe to my channel.